Okay. A ball is thrown upward with an initial velocity of 8.4 meters per second from a height 1.5 meters above the ground. The height of the ball in meters above the ground after t seconds is modeled by this equation. Okay, again, it's a very similar physics question. Okay, not much has changed though from the first question to this one. Okay. Determine the height of the ball after half a second. H equals negative 4.9 times 0.5 squared plus 8.4 times 0.5 plus 1.5. Okay, what's 0.5 squared? I don't know. I think so, yeah. And then half of 8.4 should be 4.2 plus 1.5. And then we should get negative 1.225 plus 4.2. Do the math on that. We should get 4.475 or 95. Okay. Okay. Therefore, the ball okay. Not much change. If it gives you an initial condition, or it could be anything, you plug it into the equation, it spits out an answer, right? That's all. After how many seconds does the ball land on the ground? Okay. I probably did not leave you enough room for this. And that's my bad. You can use the back. Turn the back. You're going to want to turn it over, I think. The back should be blank.
No, there's a question.
What?
There's a question on that.
I don't have that question. Oh, it's all gone.
I mean, we should try to like fit it in for now.
I can do it after. Yeah, okay, try fitting it in. I'll slide it in over here on the left. I'll try to get as far left as I can, okay? Here's your equation. Here's my question to you. If I ask you about how long something takes to hit the ground, what are you going to have to find for me?
Isolate T.
The what?
T.
Isolate for T. How are we going to isolate for T? With this, when it's written in this form.
Quadratic Equation.
Yeah, I don't think I'm factoring this, right? Is I guess my question. Or my point. If you start seeing decimals, chances are you're not factoring that. Which is why you have this. This is a real world equation that represents something the way it actually behaves in the real world. So it's not necessarily going to be factorable, right? But I do have the quadratic equation at my disposal always. Okay, so here we go. 0 equals negative 4.9 t squared plus 8.4 t plus 1.5. I have like a condensed version. You guys can, we don't have to do like the full quadratic equation. I'll just write it down. You guys confirm it after, right? So I have an A value equals negative 4.9. I have a B value of 8.4 and a C value of 1.5. Okay. Plug it in. T is equal to negative B plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so you can plug everything in. I'll write that step. Negative 8.4 plus or minus the square root of 8.4 squared minus 4 times 4.9 times 1.5. And that is t equals still.
Wait, but how did you get it to t equals?
Because you're solving for the times.
Like, what did you do with the h? Did you just make it 0?
Yeah, you make h equals 0 because that's where the ball hits the ground, right? Then your next decision point is like, I need to solve for t. Right? Under that circumstance. I agree, there's a bit of a gray zone there, but we're using the quadratic equation in a specific instance where h equals 0.
Yeah, because like, it wouldn't work otherwise, would it?
No, because
It's solving for h.
it's spitting out the values that give you 0 equals 0. Okay, so as soon as you write down the fact that like it's 0 equals something, you're allowed to just use the quadratic equation because that's the only time that it works. That's the answers that it spits out. 0 equals 0, the ones that make it work. So we're just trying to find t equals whatever. Don't forget this is all divided by 2 times 4.9, negative 4.9. Ooh, careful. I missed a negative in there. All the 4.9 should be negative. Okay? You guys can do the math on that, but what ends up happening is you get t equals negative 8.4 plus or minus the square root of 9 point, oh, not even the square root. I'm just skipping steps because of the space I gave you. Okay, you just give me two numbers. T should equal negative 0.163 and T should equal 1.877. Which answer am I going to take? The second one, because it's positive, right? This is what I was saying, the negative time doesn't make any sense, so here's your answer. Okay, there's a lot more work there, but we just don't have the space, okay? So you guys want to try this question out. You're going to have to do this regardless. It's just...
Will we have a question like this on the test, though?
What do you mean?
Will we have a question like this on the test?
Yeah, I'll give you more space, though. Right? It's just a quadratic equation. I just skipped a bunch of steps, that's all. If you guys want to go through them and make sure that that's right, then by all means, go for it. But, yeah.
So, how did t go from like negative 0.163 and then into t equals?
You get two answers to the quadratic equation, right? One's plus and minus.
Oh.
Right? Those are just the two answers for plus and minus. Okay? So, yeah, to which part?
Like the end part?
Like that piece? Okay, just so everybody knows where it comes from. All of this work here should be this number. Okay? And they just didn't show it. Save space. Okay? So therefore, after 1.87 seconds, the ball hits the ground again, or whatever they threw, okay? Now, you okay, Sophia? You can see that? Are we okay? Yeah. Okay. This is just, I think the only other thing I could ask you, I'll take a look at that question on the back as to whether or not it's worth doing. I think this is the only other thing I can ask you, and I think we have kind of the skills now after the sheet I gave you this morning. What is the maximum height the ball reaches? Yeah, Britta?
Would you just do like the 2x values?
Yeah, you find the two x values, right? Now here's the trick. This is a little bit harder because we haven't actually graphed them, and the issue is like, how do you find the middle of those two t values? It should be the issue with you, right? I haven't shown you that yet. Okay, but it's just the middle of two numbers. So how do you figure you find the middle of two numbers? What if I asked you to find the average of your test mark, or like your course marks? How would you do that? You would add all four of them up and then divide by 4, right? That would be your average, or like the middle. So with these, you're gonna take the two numbers that you have, you're gonna add them together and divide by 2, because there's 2 of them. That'll tell you the middle. Just like your course marks. Right? Is everybody okay with that? So that tells me specifically, if you go back and look at that sheet, what we're trying to find here is the axis of symmetry. Trying to find the axis of symmetry, which is the point in between the two values that I found, these two. Okay, I'm just going to try and find the middle of those two values. Once I have that, I can plug that value into the equation. That spits out the maximum height, the vertex. Okay, I think that sheet this morning did I thought it's doing a better job tying the pieces together than, I just gave it to you as an isolated skill, but it's starting to tie the pieces together, I think, for you guys. Better than I had maybe originally intended. Okay? So, all we got to do, find the middle of those t values. So we're going to go negative 0.163 plus 1.877, divide them by 2. We'll say this is the axis of symmetry. Symmetry, 2 m's or 1, Retta? Always mess this up. 2 m's or 1 in symmetry?
I feel like 2.
2.
Definitely 2, yeah.
Okay, don't be so hostile. Are you sure?
I think you're just like spelling it incorrect.
No, it's 2.
What does that mean? No, it's not. It's just whether or not there's 2 m's.
Why does
That's
it
it.
look so
S.
wrong?
Because I don't think there's 2
There's
m's.
2 M's, I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, okay.
That's how you spell it.
Okay. Okay, good.
I won't, that's fine.
I'm a math teacher, not an English teacher. Take it easy on me. Do I yell at you when you don't know math? No. Okay. Who's doing the numbers there? What's the middle of those two values? 0. What's right? 857. Okay. That's still seconds, right? So that's after 0.857 seconds, it's reached its maximum height. We just don't know what the height is yet. You just put it back into the equation. Okay? So just plug it into the equation. Like what you did in part A. H equals, we'll label this one specifically, max height equals negative 4.9 times 0.857 squared plus 8.4 1.5. Okay. Once you do the math on that, you should get the max height should equal 5.1 meters. Therefore, the max height yeah, buddy.
How many points did you lose for getting right there for the
As the course goes on, maybe one. For instance, a lot of you wrote yesterday with your test yesterday. Some of you did not include equal statements at all on the first page. So I just took off one mark off the top. So if you got,
For every single question.
no, right off the top. But again, as the course goes forward, I might start taking half a mark off for each question. So if the question was out of that front page was out of 13, I didn't see an equal sign anywhere on the front page, I took off 1 off the 13.
What if you forgot to put one equal sign out of like the 8?
Then I might just, I don't know. I would be a little generous and not take a mark off.
I double checked like 8 times and I put every single.
If you don't do it at all, I took mark right up top. So even if you got 13, you got 12 with no equal signs. I thought about the best way of doing that. I started at the beginning, I was like half mark, half mark, half mark. And I was like, okay, this is going to take off half the mark. This is silly. But as the course goes on, my job is to prepare you for, not just from the curriculum perspective of things, whoever's going to teach you next. I know some of the things that Miss Farahani is looking for if you ended up in her class, but Miss Bierce is the same way. Doesn't matter who it is. There's certain ways to do things, you gotta follow the rules. Same thing with writing tests. We can't take 2 periods to write some of these short tests because you're not gonna have 3 hours to write a 3-page test with Miss Farahani. You're probably gonna have 45 minutes. Okay. So I gotta prep you for grade 11 from a whole bunch of different spots. It's just crazy how, like, it's harder with the time frame. So, yeah.